Vieko. Vieko.
Oh, sorry, I was just browsing Evermotion website. Have you seen it's World Graphics Day? Evermotion products are 50%, like everything is 50% off for just 2 days. Jesus, look at this. Like all these, look, 120 euros and now it's 60. Jesus Christ, you can get all that 50% off. You know where I found that? On freaking Evermotion website. God damn, I did. Damn, look at this. No, but jokes aside, like 50%, like I don't, that's not even a Black Friday thing. That's, check out the Evermotion website.
Yo guys, welcome to RenderRam. My name is Vieko and today we're going to be talking about realism. So, how many times were you given an image and somebody asked you if that's a real photo or if that's a render? And I'm not talking about, like obvious images where you can like obviously see a tiling or you can obviously see that that's a render. I'm talking about big guns. Like when you get that super awesome image and even you are struggling to figure out if that's fake or not. So I'm going to be covering 5 things that I look first whenever I'm looking at a goddamn awesome render to try and debunk it as a render. So the first thing that I look at are the skirting boards. So people don't pay much attention to skirting boards because, for example, walls, although they appear, like very straight, they're actually very bumpy and it's not always as perfect as we create them in 3D. And now, when you look at a skirting board, so skirting board is like a straight plank, right? But you can notice that wall is spaced out from the skirting board here, but here it's actually kind of closer to the wall. And those are some elements that sometimes, if I feel motivated, I'm going to add those details in my renders. Another thing is skirting boards tend to be spaced away from the floor because sometimes they're completely pressed against the floor. But as you can see here, they're sometimes spaced above the floor. So you get that faint black line, which kind of shows that. So I like to add those details in my renders. Now, next detail that is always a giveaway for me are wall corners. I always try to look if there's any sort of imperfection in wall corners. So if you look above, you can see I got this kind of like a beam. And if you take a closer look, you're gonna see all these imperfections and you can actually see like the deviation of the whole beam. And those are the things like I'm always trying to see if a vertical or horizontal line is always like perfectly vertical or perfectly horizontal. If I see those slight kind of bends in it, I'm gonna say that that's probably a photo. Now, my third thing are cloned objects. You got a bunch of chairs or whatever, lamps, things that you just clone around. I'm gonna pay super close attention to those. So for example here, I got this nice table with 6 chairs. There's gonna be a couple of, so I'm not talking about, noticing if there is like a tiling in the texture. So I'm always gonna be paying attention to how these are placed. So for example, if you see here, you can notice that these are all slightly shifted, like kind of shifted. I even tried to position them for the video as straight as I could, but you can still see that these actually have some sort of shifts, rotations and all that, and it just gives like a human error kind of vibe. Now, the other chairs also have the same effect, and those are some of the things that are going to be giveaways. Especially if I see some object deformations. So for example, here, I don't know if that's visible or not, but there's some fabric stitching here, which is kind of pointing out here. It's not pointing that much. And it's just those details where I'm gonna actually, try my best to kind of see if that's a real thing or not. But yeah, cloned objects, just try to randomize them as much as you can. My 4th feature that I look for are paint imperfections. So take a look at this. So in my kitchen, if for example, so I have a tiling that goes all the way against the ceiling, but you can actually see some paint deformations or paint imperfections, like on the corners of where the tiling meets the ceiling. Whenever you have like a beige wall and then which is connected to a white ceiling, you're always gonna see, those slight imperfections thingies. And if I see an image which has that, line, that kind of connectivity line, if it's abnormally perfect, I'm gonna be like, yep, that's a render. And my last thing that I like is, dogs are the best. So these are my 2 dogs. That's Tig and that's Joe.
Jesus Christ. Can I record a video, please? Thank you. So, my last thing are the cabinets. So, cabinets, if you look like how these boxes, let's call them boxes, how they're placed, you will always notice kind of like shadow shifts or like distance shifts like between the planks. You know, like here it's much more pronounced, here it is a little bit less pronounced. You know, this spacing is different, this is different. You know, you can see all those kind of vertical lines, and all these things tend to be very different. Here you can also see like you have a kind of a stronger shadow here, and then here you don't have it, and then on the right over there you can actually see you have like a stronger, you know, like visible spacing between the panels. And because of it, I always look at these cabinets, you know, are overly perfect, because if I see those perfect, you know, spacings everywhere, etc., no matter how realistic the render is, I'm gonna be like, nope, that's fake. And yeah, those are my 5 things on how I discover a fake render. And now the question is, what are your kind of, you know, things when you're looking at someone else's image to try and figure out if that's a render or not? Write down in the comments. And see you in the next video. Bye!